Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Nishit Kumar with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a 2-day visit to Bangladesh tomorrow, says India is committed to provide abiding support to Bangladesh. Budget session of Parliament concludes, both houses adjourn sine die. Parliament passes National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development Bill to provide long-term finance for infrastructure projects in the country. Campaigning ends for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal, voting on Saturday. More than 5 crore 31 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered in the country so far. Several states impose local restrictions ahead of festivals to contain the spread of COVID-19. Indian trio of Rahi Sarnobat, Chinki Yadav and Manu Bhakar clinched gold in women's 25-meter pistol team event at ISSF Shooting World Cup. In badminton, Saina Nehwal, Ira Sharma and Kidambi Srikanth enter quarterfinals of Orleans Masters in Paris. Olympic torch relay for the upcoming Tokyo Olympics begins from Japan's Fukushima city. And in cricket, India take on England in the second day-night ODI in Pune tomorrow. As the number of COVID cases are on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower their guard, follow all precautions and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will embark on a 2-day visit to Bangladesh tomorrow. He will be visiting at the invitation of Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. In his departure statement today, Mr. Modi said India is committed to provide abiding support to Bangladesh for its economic and developmental strides. The visit is in connection with the commemoration of 3 epochal events, including Mujib Borsho, the birth centenary of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The other events are 50 years of the establishment of diplomatic ties between India and Bangladesh and 50 years of Bangladesh's War of Liberation. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will attend the National Day program of Bangladesh as the guest of honor. He will also call on Bangladesh President Muhammad Abdul Hamid. Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, Dr. A.K. Abdul Momen, will call on the Prime Minister. This will be the Prime Minister's first visit to a foreign country since the outbreak of the COVID pandemic, which highlights the priority India attaches to Bangladesh. The Prime Minister had last visited Bangladesh in 2015. Our correspondent covering the Prime Minister's visit reports that the visit will take the Indo-Bangladesh bilateral relations to a new high, which is on a rock-solid ground.
Despite the COVID-19 pandemic that hit the entire globe, India and Bangladesh successfully consolidated their bilateral ties in the recent time. Bangladesh is the major recipient of COVID vaccines from India. India supplied around 9 million doses of COVID vaccines to Bangladesh till now. Inauguration of Maitri Setu on a Feni river connecting India and Bangladesh by Prime Minister Modi recently will improve connectivity and enhance economic opportunities in both the countries. This partnership is based on sovereignty, equality, trust and understanding, which transformed into a strategic partnership. Bangladesh is celebrating 50 years of its independence. Prime Minister Modi's visit will also mark the celebrations of 50 years of India-Bangladesh diplomatic relations. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Delhi.
The budget session of the Parliament came to an end today with both the houses being adjourned sine die ahead of the schedule. The second leg of the budget session, which started on the 8th of this month, was scheduled to end on the 8th of April. The first leg of the session began on 29th of January. In his remarks, Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, M. Venkaiah Naidu, said that 19 bills were passed during the budget session, which includes Major Ports Authorities Bill 2020, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Amendment Bill 2020, Insurance Amendment Bill 2021, National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development Bill 2021, among others. He said the overall productivity of the upper house during the session stood at more than 90%.
That high productivity witnessed during the last 4 sessions since June 2019, 249, 250, 251st and 252nd sessions have continued in this session as well. As a result, overall productivity of the last 4 sessions and this session comes to about 94%. I appeal to all to maintain this positive momentum in the functioning of the House during this year as well as in future also. We need to strive towards achieving 100% productivity, knowing that we are working under extraordinary circumstances.
Earlier, the presiding officer in Lok Sabha, Bhartru Hari Mehtab, said a total of 18 bills were passed and 17 were introduced in the lower house during the session.
During this session, 17 government bills were introduced. In all, 18 bills were passed. Some of the important bills which were passed are the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2021, the National Capital Territory of Delhi Law Special Provisions Second Amendment Bill 2021, the Mines and Minerals Development Regulation Amendment Bill 2021, the Constitution Scheduled Caste Order Amendment Bill 2021, the Insurance Amendment Bill 2021, the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Bill 2021, the Marine Aids to Navigation Bill 2021, the Finance Bill 2021, the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development Bill 2021, and the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Amendment Bill 2021. 84 star questions were orally answered.
Mr. Mehtab said the productivity of the House stood at 114% during the budget session. On behalf of all the members, the presiding officer wished for the speedy recovery of the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, who was tested COVID-19 positive. The Parliament has passed the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development Bill 2021 with the approval of Rajya Sabha today. The Lok Sabha passed the bill on Tuesday. The legislation seeks to establish the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development (NBFID) to support the infrastructure financing in the country. This includes development of bonds and derivatives markets which are necessary for infrastructure financing. The NBFID will be set up as a corporate body with authorized share capital of 1 lakh crore rupees with financial and developmental objectives. Financial objectives will be to directly or indirectly lend, invest or attract investments for infrastructure projects located entirely or partly in India. Developmental objectives include facilitating the development of the market for bonds, loans and derivatives for infrastructure financing. Replying to a question on the bill, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that the NBFID will prove to be a catalyst for the ecosystem of infrastructure funding.
In the poll-bound states of Assam and West Bengal, the high-voltage electioneering campaign for the first phase of assembly elections reached a crescendo before its conclusion this evening. Voting for the first phase of assembly elections will be held on Saturday. In Assam, 264 candidates are in the fray for the 47 assembly constituencies that will go to polls during the first of 3-phase elections, while 191 candidates will be vying for 30 seats during the initial phase in West Bengal, which is witnessing 8-phase elections. In Assam, there are 3 main alliances this time, including the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance with partners Ahom Gana Parishad, AGP, and the United People's Party Liberal UPPL, and Mahajot or Grand Alliance led by the Congress. It includes All India United Democratic Front AIUDF, Bodoland People's Front BPF, and the left parties, while yet another conglomerate of Ahom Jatiyo Party AJP and Raijor Dal is also there. Congress has fielded 43 candidates, AJP 41, BJP 39, AGP 10, while 78 independents along with others are also trying their luck. Now we go live to our Guwahati correspondent Manas Pratim Sharma for details. Manas, tell us what are the preparations being made for the upcoming polls?
Well, Valsa, as the campaigning in the first phase of poll has come to an end this evening, now all the attention has been drawn for the first phase of polling that will be held on Saturday, and a total of 264 candidates, including 23 women candidates, are in the fray in this phase. This phase has witnessed the participation of high-profile leaders in campaigning, and a total of 21 political parties have fielded candidates in this phase. Now, coming to the preparation for the first phase of voting, today the Chief Electoral Officer Nitin Khare has held a press conference conference, and he told that all the precautions have been taken to ensure free, smooth and peaceful polling. He asked voters to come out in large number without any fear to exercise their voting rights. He said all the COVID protocols will be followed during the day of polling. Back to you, Elsa.
Thank you, Manas. In West Bengal, out of 30 seats, BJP is contesting in 29 and alliance partner AJSU is fighting from the Bagmundi seat in Purulia district, while TMC is contesting in 29 seats and supporting an independent candidate in Jaipur constituency after the nomination of the party candidate was rejected. Congress, left parties and their alliance partner Indian Secular Front are fighting under the banner of Sanjukta Morcha. Now we go live to our correspondent Jitendra Dwivedi in Medinipur for details. Jitendra, what was the flavor on the last day of first phase campaigning, and what were the major issues the candidates focused on?
Well, sir, today was the last day of campaigning for the first phase of election. Hence, all the political parties, including Trinamool Congress, BJP and Sanjukta Morcha, showcased their full might today. And public meetings, road shows were organized by the political parties at various places, while candidates held nukkad meetings. Well, sir, tribal voters are majority numbers in these seats. Hence, political leaders are promising to provide basic amenities like water, education and health services in backward areas. Attracting investments, providing employment for youth, government jobs and other facilities for women, and improving law and order situation were main focus issues of the leader's speech. But the voter remains tight-lipped and is keeping his cards close to his chest. Valsa.
Right, thank you, Jitendra, for that update. Meanwhile, campaigning is gaining momentum in respect of the second and third phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal, and also for the single phase elections in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, as well as the Union Territory of Puducherry. The second phase of polling will be conducted on the 1st of April in 39 assembly constituencies of Assam, where the total number of candidates will be 346, while there will be 171 candidates in the 30 constituencies of West Bengal.
The Union Health Ministry today said 6 states, Maharashtra, Punjab, Kerala, Karnataka, Chhattisgarh and Gujarat are reporting a surge in daily new cases, and that together account for 80.63% of the new cases reported in the last 24 hours. Maharashtra continues to report the highest daily new cases at 31,855. It is followed by Punjab with 2,613, while Kerala reported 2,456 new cases. Over 5,31,45,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine have been administered in the country so far. The Union Health Ministry said that over 23 lakh doses were given to the beneficiaries in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 recovery rate reached 95.28%, with a recovery of more than 26,000 patients in the last 24 hours. Several states, including Haryana, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Bihar, have imposed local restrictions ahead of festivals to contain the spread of COVID-19. Haryana Home and Health Minister Anil Vij said that in view of rising cases of COVID-19, celebrations of Holi in public places in the state will be banned. As a preventive measure, Punjab Chief Minister Captain Amarinder Singh has ordered statewide restrictions banning Holi Milan gatherings. The Bihar government has also issued a directive to impose a ban on Holi Milan at public places this year. The Delhi administration has banned all celebrations of Holi, Shab-e-Barat, Navaratri and other festivals in public places. The centre yesterday advised states and union territories to consider imposing local restrictions on public observation of Holi, Shab-e-Barat, Bihu, Easter and Eid al-Fitr, and limit mass gatherings in view of rising cases of COVID-19. Centre has allowed COVID-19 vaccination for everyone aged above 45 years starting 1st of April, irrespective of comorbidity. Those persons who were born before 1st of January 1977 are eligible for vaccination. The comorbidities clause has been removed to make the system simpler. The CoWIN system will be open for registration and for booking of appointment of all persons of 45 years and above from the 1st of April. On-site registration of such persons will also be permissible from the same day. A report.
There is no shortage of vaccines in the country and people should not unnecessarily panic. The government has a well-oiled system that regularly monitors total vaccine allocation, total consumption and balance of vaccine and need for replenishment. If a beneficiary has taken an online appointment for vaccination on COVID, then there is no need to take any further appointment at private or public hospitals. If any hospital does not follow these guidelines of vaccination, then one must lodge a complaint at toll-free number 1075. The time interval between two doses of Covishield vaccine has been extended from the present 4 to 6 weeks to 4 to 8 weeks. Within this extended time interval of 4 to 8 weeks, protection would be greater if vaccine is taken between 6 to 8 weeks but not beyond the 8th week. With Suparna Sakia, Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
The News Services Division of All India Radio in its bilingual live phone-in program tonight will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19. This can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. Dr. A.K. Varshney, RML Hospital, New Delhi, will participate in the discussion. The Supreme Court today allowed the pleas of several Women Short Service Commission SSC officers seeking grant of permanent commission in the Army and held that the annual confidential report ACR evaluation process was flawed and discriminatory in nature. Terming the ACR evaluation process as arbitrary and irrational, the Apex Court said the criteria for grant of permanent commission to women officers ignored the achievement and laurels brought by them to the Indian Army. The Supreme Court has dismissed the complaint of Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy against the senior top court judge after giving it due consideration. However, it said yesterday that all the matters dealt with under the in-house procedure, being strictly confidential in nature, are not liable to be made public. On October the 6th, in an unprecedented move, Mr. Reddy wrote a letter to Chief Justice of India, S.A. Bobde, alleging that a senior Supreme Court judge has been influencing the sittings of the Andhra Pradesh High Court and acting in the interests of the Telugu Desam Party.
Chief Justice of India, Justice S.A. Bobde, has recommended Union Government to appoint the senior-most Supreme Court Judge, Justice N.V. Ramana, as the next Chief Justice of India. Chief Justice Bobde is set to retire on the 23rd of April. Justice Bobde was sworn in as the 47th Chief Justice of India in November 2019. More than 68,33,000 beneficiaries were provided maternity benefits in 2020 under the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana PMMVY. Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani said this in a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today. The government implements the scheme with the objectives of providing partial compensation for the wage loss in terms of cash incentive so that the women can take adequate rest before and after delivery of the first child. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the evening news. Now here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from the Rajya Sabha. Writer is Rajesh Ahuja of UNI. Parliament has passed the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development Bill 2021 with the Rajya Sabha approving it today. The Lok Sabha passed the bill on Tuesday. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman moved the bill for consideration of the House. It seeks to establish a statutory institution to support the development of long-term infrastructure financing in India. The institution will be set up as the principal development finance institution, DFI, and development bank to carry on the business of infrastructure financing. Initiating the discussion on the bill, Jairam Ramesh of the Congress urged the Finance Minister to revisit the provisions of the bill not to have any oversight mechanism for the proposed DFI. He said the bill is an ambitious one. The Finance Minister has provided it 20,000 crore rupees. It will not even come under the ambit of the CAG, he said. He wondered why the finance minister is turning back the clock several years after the Narasimhan committee set up in 1991 by the then finance minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, came to the conclusion that the era of development financing institutions is over. The committee came to the conclusion that the era of development financing institutions is over. 30 years after Dr. Singh presented the budget, we are turning back the clock, he said. He wondered what would happen to other organizations like LIC, which are doing infrastructure financing. He said the bill should be scrutinized by a standing committee. Syed Zafar Islam of the BJP said the bill is a step by the BJP government and Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the direction of building a new India. This institution will have a dual role of financing and developing infrastructure, he said. Sujit Kumar of the BJD, while supporting the bill, said the government should ensure adequate checks and balances and accountability. There is a need for world-class institutions and infrastructure in India. Many developed countries have legislation for development financial institutions, he said.
Banda Prakash of the TRS said it will be a challenge to meet the targets that have been set for the DFI. Bishambar Prasad Nishad of the Samajwadi Party said the bill should be referred to a select committee of the Rajya Sabha. Jharna Das Baidya of the CPIM said the DFIs were set up pre-liberalization era. Nominated member Narendra Jadhav supporting the bill said that to sustain good economic growth, Indian economy needs strong infrastructure. N.D. Gupta of Aam Aadmi Party said the bill is drafted by some foreign agency. Considering there are no provisions for accountability or oversight, why are we creating this new bank when such institutions have failed earlier, he asked. He also favoured referring it to a select committee. K. Ravindra Kumar of TDP said the intention behind the bill is good. According to recent estimate, India needs an investment of $4.5 trillion for constructing necessary infrastructure till 2030, he said. Satish Chandra Mishra of the BSP praised the intentions for bringing this bill because development should be at the core of our policies. Responding to the debate, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that most of the existing institutions that are tasked to build infrastructure have outlived themselves. Stating that this is a unique institution, she said India has always benefited by various institutional mechanisms that have been created. They were created to service the time they were created in. Many of the existing DFIs have outlived their time, she said. She said that the DFI will establish a credible framework for both equity and debt investment. She said they will also offer space for domestic retail investors. The government stake will start from 100%, but eventually it will be brought down to 26%. But this 26% stake shall remain. It will be professionally run. The government will only appoint the chairman, she said. The finance minister said the audited reports of the DFI will come to Parliament every year. The bill provides for that. The government can ask for a report whenever it deems fit. These reports will be tabled in Parliament too. This institution will be able to access line of credit from the RBI. The bill was passed by voice vote. The Rajya Sabha bid farewell to three of its retiring members from Kerala, Vaila Ravi of the Congress, Abdul Wahab of the IUML and K.K. Ragesh of the CPI. Bidding farewell to them, Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said they are leaving the House but their contribution will leave an indelible mark. Thereafter, the Chairman announced that the budget session is concluding today ahead of schedule. This means the productivity of the House was 90%. The Chairman said that the House has passed 19 bills, including the consideration and return of Appropriation Number 2 bill. Thereafter, he adjourned the House sine die.
And now a review of proceedings in the Lok Sabha. Writer is Achinta Bora of PTI. The Lok Sabha was also adjourned sine die today. The session started on the 29th of January and was originally slated to end on April the 8th. But several members had urged Speaker Om Birla to end the session early as they focus on electioneering in 5 states going to polls. Speaker Birla had recently tested positive for COVID-19 and was not attending the House. In his observations before adjourning the proceedings sine die, Bhartruhari Mehtab, who was in the chair, wished Birla a speedy recovery and informed members that the Speaker was stable. The first part of the budget session began on the 29th of January with the President's address to the joint sitting of both Houses of Parliament. The Union budget was tabled on the 1st of February. Thereafter, House proceedings were washed out for 4 consecutive days over the opposition's demand for separate discussion on farm issues. To compensate the session's lost time, the House sat till midnight for several days. The second part of the budget session, which began on the 8th of March, also saw repeated adjournments of House proceedings for the first few days as the opposition protested over rise in fuel prices. The main focus of the government in the second part of the session was to get the various demands for grants for the year 2021-22 passed, along with the finance bill, which carries various tax proposals. A total of 146 members participated in the discussion on the Union budget for 14 hours and 42 minutes. The Joint Committee of Parliament examining the Personal Data Protection Bill was given extension till the monsoon session to submit its report. The Personal Data Protection Bill seeks to regulate the use of individuals' data by the government and private companies. So far, the committee has held meetings with Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, Google, Airtel, Jio, Ola, Uber, Google, Paytm, among other companies. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari said in the Lok Sabha today that the centre is working on a proposal to build a double-decker flyover in the Steel City Jamshedpur to reduce traffic congestion. Replying to a query from Bidyut Varan Mahato of BJP during the question hour, Gadkari said the total toll collection on national highways is expected to reach 34,000 crore rupees in the financial year ending 31st March 2021. The centre has also proposed building a double-decker flyover connecting Chennai port with other vital locations in Tamil Nadu at a cost of 5,000 crore rupees. The minister also said all toll booths across the NH network will be done away with and complete GPS-based toll collection. And that is all in Parliament Review.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, terrorists attacked the road opening party of 73 Battalion Central Reserve Police Force CRPF at Lavepora on the outskirts of Srinagar city this afternoon. According to O.P. Tiwari, Public Relations Officer CRPF, one Assistant Sub-Inspector Mangaram and driver Ashok Kumar attained martyrdom, while two other personnel got injured in the attack. Meanwhile, the area has been cordoned off and a massive manhunt has been launched by the security forces to nab the assailants. In shooting, India won gold in women's 25-meter pistol team event today at the ISSF World Cup in Delhi. India beat Poland in the final to win the country's 10th gold. The Indian women's team of Rahi Sarnobat, Chinky Yadav and Manu Bhakar beat Poland's Joanna Iwona Wawrzonowoska, Julita Borek and Agnieszka Korowzo 17-7 in the gold medal match. Earlier in the day, Indian women's team in the 50-meter rifle three positions event had to settle for a silver as they lost 43-47 to Poland in the gold medal match. India dominating the standings with 21 medals, including 10 gold medals. In badminton, London Olympics bronze medalists Saina Nehwal, Ira Sharma and Kidambi Shrikant advanced to the quarterfinals of the Orleans Masters tournament in Paris today. Saina Nehwal prevailed over France's Marie Bertomini and Ira Sharma beat Bulgaria's Maria Mitsova in the women's singles. In the men's singles, Kidambi Shrikant entered the quarterfinal with the win over Shyam Jun Wei of Malaysia. Ira Sharma will clash with Denmark's Lene Kristoffersen next. Ashwini Ponnappa and N. Sikki Reddy reached the women's doubles quarterfinals after receiving a bye in their second round match against Indonesia's Fabriana Kusuma and Amelia Prathivi. The Olympic flame has begun its journey across Japan after a year-long delay caused by the global pandemic. This relay will be traveling through all 47 prefectures. Tokyo 2020 President Hashimoto Seiko said he hopes the Olympic flame of the Tokyo Games will light up hopes around Japan one by one with its sacred, powerful and warm shine. In cricket, the second ODI of the three-match series between India and England will be played in Pune tomorrow. The match is scheduled to begin at 1:30 p.m. Rampaging Indian team will aim to seal off another series victory. England will look to level the series and stay alive in the contest. India won the first ODI by 66 runs, and the third and the final ODI will take place on Sunday.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a 2-day visit to Bangladesh tomorrow, says India is committed to provide abiding support to Bangladesh. Budget session of Parliament concludes, both houses adjourn sine die. Parliament passes National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development Bill to provide long-term finance for infrastructure projects in the country. Campaigning ends for first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal, voting on Saturday. More than 5.31 crore doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered in the country so far. Several states imposed local restrictions ahead of festivals to contain the spread of COVID-19. Indian trio of Rahi Sarnobat, Chinki Yadav and Manu Bhakar clinched gold in women's 25-meter pistol team event at ISSF Shooting World Cup. In badminton, Saina Nehwal, Ira Sharma, Kidambi Srikanth enter quarterfinals of Orleans Masters in Paris. Olympic torch relay for the upcoming Tokyo Olympics begins from Japan's Fukushima city. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.